And we are live. Hi, everyone. Good
Good
evening,
evening,
everyone.
everyone.
Who
Who
is
is
online?
online?
Run,
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 get
get
your
your
daughter.
daughter.
We have a
Well, a
professor in
professor
the
in the house.
house. I
I
don't
don't
want you
want
to
you to
miss this
be this
session. No. Don't come and ask me later. Isi meme, eh? Can I get a replay? There's no need to ask for replay. You can go back and watch. So we use this very time to welcome everyone who has joined us. I don't know if you have anyone who have joined us. If you have anyone who have joined us, can we say I? If you can hear us very well, can we see you type and say I? Yeah. Very, very excited to be here this evening. Weekend. Load your mind, refresh your mind, and use your weekend to repackage yourself for next week. It's making a lot of sense. And like I always say, this is what I say all the time. At Junior, so we are here. We are intentional about your growth. So if you are that business owner, if you are that MSME, you belong to one or two MSME ecosystem. You are running a cooperative society. You belong to one cluster or the other. This platform is for you. Trust me. Where we educate, where we inspire, inform MSME, give full support to MSME to grow and scale. And this is key for economic development, economic growth of our country or for Africa as a whole. So this is important. And today we are discussing an important area of our economic growth, which is public procurement. Public procurement as a strategy, okay, public procurement is strategy tool for economic development. So again, we have seen the power of procurement in our organization. We see how efforts grow, what has worked for us, and what we do as juniors to to support to MSME communities. Very excited. We see and back. We love the approach. We love how people the so we are here grow. So run away. This question just available to us. So public procurement is one area that many of us valuable. For us at Junior Store, we know the problem, know the power of our procurement policy in our organization. And that has also helped us. You can't integrate organization with a system based intentional about putting your policy in place. So when we talk about policy, procurement is king, financial is queen. You understand me? So that's how we see it. So employee policy, sexual harassment policy. So all of those policy, you must be intentional about putting them in place. Putting them in place, application of them is very, very important. With procurement, you can bid for anything. You understand how procurement works. It means that you suit to bid. And when you bid for project or contract, what that means, it means income for the organization. It means that everybody in the organization will benefit from it. And the public directly benefit from it. So the advantage you have having this information, having this today is to help you stay. If some of us have never been there before, an opportunity to listen to our expert, industry experts. You know, I call him my professor because he's very passionate and loaded. When I loaded, this is the that I've known for a very long time. I know is extremely passionate. He's a certified procurement specialist. So don't look at his face. Don't look at what he's going to do. The experience is loaded, and we are very happy to have him with us on this platform.
Sorry, we are back now. And so we have someone who is very passionate, not just passionate, but very knowledgeable about procurement. And we welcome all of us to our weekly and bi-weekly webinars at Genius Hub. My name is Obehi Okweyabele, and we welcome all our participants who join us regularly to get themselves fed with the latest information on how businesses can scale and grow. Last week, we had a very exciting time where we talked about how businesses can bounce back after a setback. And we learned that businesses do not bounce back, but human beings bounce back. And today we are excited to bring to you one of our own, very knowledgeable, young, and experienced man in the procurement world. Ezekiel Obazele is a highly skilled procurement professional and business process advisor with a proven track record of delivering mission critical results and building high performance teams. He possesses expertise in systems implementation, public procurement management, and procurement policy development and implementation. His versatility in procurement and project management is evident through his previous roles as the project manager, technical team lead, procurement officer, and review officer in various organizations and projects. Ezekiel holds several certifications, including an executive certificate in public procurement management from Ibadan Business School, as well as professional diplomas and certificate programs management from ISM Indian Governmental Global Practice and the World Bank. Furthermore, he has obtained a certificate in project management from the International Project Management Professionals, IPMP. Currently, Ezekiel serves as the head of the e-procurement department at the Edo State Public Procurement Agency, where he leads a team responsible for the successful development and implementation of the e-government procurement solution in 4 pilot ministries in Edo State. Mr. Ezekiel Obazel, you're welcome. And we know that with you in the house, we are going to have a very interactive session.
So,
Thank you very much, Mrs.
good evening,
Obey.
everyone. Can everyone hear us? If you can hear us, say aye. If you can hear us, can you say aye, please? Oh, great. They can hear. I'm still. Can we get like 2 more? Oh, great. So go ahead. You can go ahead. Thank you for coming. Thank you for honoring us. We do not take this for granted at all. Welcome, Mr. Ezekiel Obazele. Thank you again.
Okay, glad to be here. Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much,
Good
Mrs.
evening.
Obey, and thank you, Genius Hub, for having me.
Thank you
It's really
too.
delightful to be part of this movement that seeks to empower SMEs to deliver on their critical assignments. Today, I'll be discussing a very interesting topic that I believe will help us grow our private organizations, and for those of us in government, will improve our current knowledge base of how procurement should be carried out. This topic, public procurement, a strategic tool for economic development, was specifically designed to help organizations, private organizations, MSMEs, build on their existing knowledge of how
Sorry,
government
Mr.
carry out.
Ezekiel. Can you increase your voice a little?
Oh, okay, I'll do that.
Can you?
Yeah, that will be fine.
Thank you.
That will be
Thank you.
fine. Can you hear me clearly now?
We can hear you, but we know you are very soft, and we need to hear your voice more.
Okay, thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
All right, so without wasting much time, I will just dive straight into the topic that we're discussing today. Public procurement, a strategic tool for economic development. By the end of this discussion, I do hope that every participant of this webinar will take home 3 things: have a clear understanding of what public procurement is about, have a vivid knowledge of the hallmarks of a proficient public procurement, and thirdly, understand the critical role that public procurement plays in economic development. By way of introduction, I will start by explaining what economic development is all about. So, economic development simply refers to the state of well being of an economy and the quality of life of people or citizens living in a nation. In a situation that we currently find ourselves, where the cost of living is after the lives of the living, we can't but only pray that the poor can breathe and don't suffocate. This public procurement can only help us understand clearly how governments can improve our economic status and can enhance economic development by carrying out this public procurement in line with the set guidelines and provision. On the other hand, what is procurement? Everyone would see procurement as the acquisition of goods, works, and services. But from a professional point of view, it's more than that. Procurement is a business management function that manages the acquisition of external resources in an economic, efficient manner, following due process and in any contractual means. What that simply means is every organization is set up to achieve a particular objective. To help this organization achieve these objectives, there are needs that they must meet. And to source for this need, they have to go through the process called procurement. The process of an organization actualizing or acquiring their needs is referred to as procurement. Procurement encompasses several steps and it starts from needs assessment. From needs assessment down to planning, to sourcing, evaluation, contracting, contract execution, review and monitoring, and down to contract closeout. So to sum this brief that I've just said, it's to make us understand now that if a government is seeking to provide service delivery for its citizenry, which is primarily their responsibility, they must get their public procurement right. Subnationals and federal governments today have keyed into the public procurement reform by establishing their public procurement regulatory authorities. In the Edo State, we have the Public Procurement Agency, and in the federal, you have the Bureau for Public Procurement that are established by virtue of the Public Procurement Law. This law provides for the Procurement Regulatory Agency to create ample opportunities for SMEs to partake in government contracting. That alone is a bold step into seeing that the economy of these subnationals as well as in Nigeria or the nation is revived. And to bring this to our local environment, the Edo State government in 2020 did put forward a regulation to see that SMEs are encouraged to participate in government contracting processes. I can categorically say, as at the last review done by the Edo State Public Procurement Agency, 53% of the contracts awarded in Edo State were awarded to SMEs. So I can say now that the Edo State Public Procurement Agency is actually doing a lot to achieve that objective of creating ample opportunities for SMEs. How will procurement then help economic development? Procurement is a strategic tool that can help governments, subnational governments, as well as the federal government develop their economy by one, procurement creates or stimulates economic activities. How does that happen? That will be the question that we'll be asking ourselves. At every instance that the government seeks to initiate a procurement process, either to construct road or to build hospitals or to build schools, these projects has a ripple effect on the standard of living of those persons in those areas where these projects are being cited. And whenever the government carry out this procurement, following the laid down procedure as defined in the public procurement law, as well as other regulations issued by the Public Procurement Regulatory Agency, you will see that the overall effects of that procurement done by the government will be seen in the lives of these persons living around the area where these projects are cited. So procurement being a very critical tool for economic development by stimulating economic activity, and secondly, by empowering SMEs. Empowering SMEs in the sense that you will agree with me that no subnational government or government globally can exist without SMEs. SMEs are the engine room of every government. So whenever contracts are awarded to SMEs, the ripple effect is seen in the lives of the citizenry, as these SMEs will create job opportunities for those that don't have jobs and also improve the standard of living of people that are domiciled in that state or country. To sum this up, what are really the hallmarks of a proficient public procurement system? We may have seen public procurement as a transaction business process, but that's not true. It goes beyond being a transactional business process, as public procurement is a strategic tool that any responsible government can use to actualize their policy. If you look at the public financial management cycle, it starts with policy. And to fund this policy that the government is setting up, you will need a budget. And it proceeds down to the budget formulation and then budget approval. From budget approval, we're looking at budget execution. And this is where procurement comes in. If procurement is done rightly, the hallmarks of this public procurement will be seen. And these hallmarks include fairness. This is providing a level playing field for all that are involved in the procurement. Reliability, the ability of the procurement process to yield the desired results. Economy, efficiency, transparency, and accountability. These are the hallmarks of public procurement.
No sound again.
I think the host at some point muted my mic. Sorry if you didn't hear what I said. Okay. The can Am I being heard? Isimeme, confirm you can hear me.
Yeah, you are.
Okay,
Yes,
thank
I can
you.
hear you very well.
So the hallmarks of
We can hear you. Go ahead, please.
all right, thank you. So the hallmarks of a proficient public procurement, like I said, are fairness, reliability, economy, efficiency, transparency, and accountability. If these are upheld in all procurements that are done by governments, subnational or federal, the ripple effect of this will be value for money. The government getting value for every dime spent on government contracts will not only be seen in the project deliverables, but it also reflects on the life and standard of living of people in that state or nation. Are we together? So,
Yeah.
transparency, accountability, fairness, reliability, economy, and efficiency are indeed the cornerstone for every government who is desirous of building their local economy. This should be what every government should uphold in their public procurement processes. Public procurement, if done effectively, can also help create jobs, can also help reduce poverty, can also help improve the standard of living of persons living in that sub-national or national or in a country. So in a way, to summarize all of this, it's simply to say that public procurement, it's beyond an administrative operation. It's beyond a business transaction. It's beyond just awarding contracts to government to contractors and getting them to site. It's beyond spending our collective patrimony impulsively. If public procurement is done correctly, in line with the laid down procedures, and value for money, it's what we desire most in our public procurement. You can see that our standard of living and the lives of everyone will gradually improve, and the government will then achieve value for money. So I will just pause here, and if there is any further questions as we proceed, we can take it up from there.
Thank you so much, Ezekiel Basere.
Okay, thank you so much, Ezekiel Bazele. What would they talk to you? Want to find out? All of this we are doing on this platform is actually a full support for self-development for MSMEs, business owners, a full support for business growth for MSMEs. So that now leads me to the question I'm about to ask you, because the moment we share this flyer, when we share this flyer on our various social media platform, where we receive quite a number of questions, and one of the questions is, what are the key advantages of public procurement for MSMEs compared to other business opportunities? Maybe I should say that again. What are the key advantages of public procurement for MSMEs compared to other business opportunities?
Okay, thank you very much. I think that
Yeah.
the person asking that question is desirous to know what he or she, being the owner of SME, is likely going to benefit from public procurement. Now, as an MSME, I would expect that that company is looking forward to partake of whatever economic activity that are currently going on in the state or in the country. SMEs, by way of definition, are small companies that have less, I think, 100 million naira as an annual turnover by Smithern
Okay.
definition.
Yeah.
Okay. So the opportunities for SMEs are enormous in the sense that when government decides to award contracts or when there are openings for contracts, most times SME stands to benefit more. I'll give a practical example. Take a good look at the suburb projects. These are small, not so much of high value projects. No contractor from Ondo State, so close to us, Ondo, for example, would come to Edo State to bid for a contract of 17 million naira. Reason being that the profit margin in 17 million naira contracts should range around 2.5 million or 3 million, 25%. Before that contractor will spend money on accommodation and transportation, he must have gotten into his profit. So our local contractors stands to benefit more from these contracts. SMEs are what we really bank on to revamp our local economy. And by way of policy, the Edo State Public Procurement Agency has issued guidelines to support SMEs in contracts, in getting contracts from the Edo State government. I would say since 2020, when that guideline was issued, we have consistently ensured that low value contracts are awarded to our local contractors, are awarded to SMEs, because we know they are the drivers of our local economy. And so I would say SME stands to benefit a lot if they package their firm correctly. The issue we have with SMEs participating in contract is not the fact that they cannot deliver, but they've not been able to package their bids to be attractive or responsive to the solicitation or advertisement that is out there for procurement. SMEs stand a lot to gain, I believe, and I'm also an advocate for empowering small and medium scale enterprises. So all they just have to do is get job ready. Some SMEs, as we stand today, may not have even filed their tax for last year. And you and I know part of the criteria for evaluation of your bids is evidence of tax payment. So an SME who hasn't paid tax is looking to get contracts with taxpayers' money, contract funded with the taxpayer money. You're looking to benefit from it when you, as an SME, you're not paying your taxes. That is an outright disqualification in the first place. So before you start looking to see what you will benefit as an SME, be very sure that you are job ready. SMEs that are job ready stands better chance of getting contracts from the state. And I will advise them to actually put in effort in packaging their bids right.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm very happy that we are talking about procurement. I'm very happy with your response. Let me just quickly add a little to that. I always have this conversation with MSMEs when we are in our meetings, when we have the opportunity to speak, or sometimes when I have public speaking engagement. And some of the issue has come up like, okay, who know man that you have to be connected before you get some of this job. And today, I know you are speaking generally. You are not speaking because you are not speaking to us just because you are in Edo. You are speaking because I believe that this guideline is a universal guideline for procurement, I guess, or is a general guidelines for procurement generally. Even um even for us as junior sub, we advertise all our procurement process. I mean, if you want to bid, I mean, you want job or contract, just the way we advertise for employment, that's actually how we advertise our services and goods at junior sub. And we take time to look at the best bid, you know. So this is me also advising that there are a lot of activities that are involved. And some of these activities, I would like you to just really expatiate on this, the complexity around procurement, what the business owner must put, what and what they must put in place. You mentioned tax clearance. This is very vital. This is very important. But what are other things? What other documents do you think make a good bid? For example, I know I don't want to talk about our own methodology because I know you are related with both. You work based on national and international, so your work doesn't really just in those states, like I know very well. So, can you take us through that complexity? Because whether we like it or not, it's complex. And many of our business owners, many of them just started business as an escape route from poverty. Many of them were not properly trained. In fact, some of them do not have any training, and they see business as buying and selling. And we all know that businesses had gone beyond buying and selling. We are aware that one of the way to grow is is for business owners or MSME to start bidding for projects, for them to start bidding for programs. Even if you are you belong to the non-governmental organization, we all know bidding is you have to bid, and the process are very open and transparent. So I want you to take us through that complexity. It's not simple. Let's not pretend about that. If it's simple, I'm sure everybody will understand it. Maybe we won't be having this conversation. Can you please break it down? What are those things, those documentation? You mentioned tax, and we all know that MSME like to run away from tax, but it's not their fault. Everybody, like you said, when you were speaking, you talk about value for money. People want to know what they are paying for. People want to know why they are being charged. They just want explanation. You understand me? Like me, for example, I took my two legs to tax office to pay tax. They don't bill me. Nobody came for evaluation. They didn't come to do any form of evaluation in my office. I was just giving that bill. But again, that is because I want to bid for projects. We want to be able to bid for projects. We don't want any obstacle. We went ahead to ensure we have our tax clearance. But the public wants to know what they are paying for. The public wants some form of education. Maybe one of these days we'll also write to tax office. We would like to bring them on board to also educate the public. Because again, we need information, we need to be aware, we need to be carried along. So it's also the reason why you see some of the MSME hold back. Like why should they be paying tax? What is their benefit? Nobody's explaining anything to them. So we can understand that to a large extent. But please, for the sake of growth, for the sake of moving forward, for the sake of for education purpose, we want to know. We want to know. You mentioned tax, so we want to know other things, other documentation that they must put in place in order for them to be able to bid and compete globally. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much, Isimeme. So I did mention tax as a very critical yardstick to ascertain the bidder's responsiveness to a solicitation. Others include evidence of similar job done. You are bidding for the
There's a no sound.
supply. Sorry. Okay, so
Go
a
ahead.
bidder
Go ahead.
or an SME that is looking to bid for the supply of medical consumables, for example, and one of the yardsticks to determine your responsiveness or experience in that regard is evidence of similar job done. If you want to partake in any
Yes, evidence
procurement
of similar
process
assignment.
and you've not done such process before, the chances are very slim for you to be considered for such a contract. You would then ask me, oh, I just incorporated my firm yesterday. How do I get experience if I wasn't given an opportunity to supply at all? Funnily enough, it's not that difficult. Just that most SMEs, they don't really go into this contracting space with the right idea. If you just incorporate your firm and you're banking on getting a job like that, it's not done. You must start from somewhere. And that is you probably acting as a subcontractor to a major contractor. Being a subcontractor to a major contractor gives you that opportunity to have experience. And secondly, if you desire not to act as a subcontractor to a major contractor, you can go into a procurement process as a joint venture. This is you partnering with someone with experience, bringing in what you have and that person bringing what they have to bid for one project can increase your chances of you getting the contract. So the evidence of similar job done is one other thing that you look out for during evaluation. Thirdly, the company profile. You see, most times you don't underrate representation of facts. Some persons are very good in presenting themselves in a very decent manner. That's why they say dress the way you want to be addressed. But trust me, package your bids or package your firm the way you want the people to see your firm. You cannot be preparing your company profile and you're having some sort of different font size or font style in a singular document. That tells of that speaks to how organized that firm is. You should take your time and put your company profile in place and document every activity that you've taken part in. So be able to document everything that you've done as a firm. So your company profile also speaks volume of how organized you are as a firm. Then thirdly, personnel. When these SMEs are, when you go through some profiles of SME, you will see that the father is the director, the mother is the chief accountant, the son is the quality assurance manager. So you can't but just be skeptical about such an organization. You're going in for a construction project, and among the personnel you listed as your key personnel, you don't even have an engineer. So you don't have an engineer among the personnel you're proposing to carry out that project. How comfortable would the government be to consider you as being responsive or being worthy or trustworthy enough to execute that project in line with specification? So when I was talking about packaging your bid, it doesn't take too much. These personnel that I mentioned, you can actually get them on ad hoc basis. By understanding, you will tell these persons that when I secure this job, you will, this is your role and responsibility, not on full-time basis. You don't engage them on full-time basis. You can engage them on ad hoc basis. When you have jobs as relates to what's it called, construction, you can get an engineer, a quantity surveyor, a structural engineer, a civil engineer, and get all of their profile, have an understanding with them, package your personnel aspects, even in terms of equipment. It is not mandatory that you own equipment. In evaluating the submissions of bidders, most times or all the time, the criteria that is used to evaluate your equipment, there is this provision there, list of equipment owned or leased. So you can have a lease agreement with companies who have this equipment and have a copy of those lease agreements in your profile. That gives whoever is evaluating your bid some level of comfort that, oh, though he doesn't have the equipment, but he has access to these equipment if given the job. So I've mentioned like four criteria now. I
Yeah.
spoke about the company's profile. I spoke about the personnel. I spoke about the what's it called, equipment, and I spoke
Yeah.
about the tax clearance. So amongst the plethora of things that are looked at, if you're able to have these items that are listed in line with what was requested for by the procuring entity, you stand a bigger chance to be considered upon evaluation of your
Evidence of
submissions.
submission.
Yeah.
Yeah, well done, well done. Personally, I'm very, very excited because you said up to five major documents
Yeah.
that we must have for us to be able to bid and compete globally. You want contracts. You
Yeah.
want you want to win. You want people say, "Oh, you have to have connection," and this is what we say every time. If you have your documents right, I don't think we'll be talking about connection. We'll talk about how to check whether you actually win. We will get to that level. How to check whether
Mm.
um how to check how you know you win or you don't win. We'll get to that level. But I want to I want to mention the five things I heard you mentioned. You talking about
Okay.
evidence of similar assignment done. That one is key. So I love the fact that he has mentioned that. And he said you don't have to just start to be a contractor. Say you can be a subcontractor. That means this teamwork we've talked about, this partnership, this collaboration for us to grow is key. Identify someone who has everything or who is stronger than you and work with that person, partner with that person to execute a program or a project or a contract. Now, I want you to put at the back of your mind, Ezekiel, that is a little bit sensitive because one of the challenges MSMEs also face is issue of trust in this field, this area. What will you also be advising? Just keep that question on one side. You mentioned evidence of assignment done. You mentioned company profile. You mentioned personnel. That's most often people just put their family members, and that doesn't really speak well. So it's good to mix them up and make it more professional. Then you talk about equipment. If you involve more of depending on the job you're applying for, but there are major things they require. I mean, there are major requirements like it has listed out. So if that MSME listening to us today, begin to audit yourself right now. Begin to think, what kind of profile do you have? And I always say this: Google is our best friend. You can get countless templates, countless of you have too many templates out there that you can use to build a professional profile for your organization. Begin to look at that. Then personnel, partner with people, partner, so that you jointly put us together and submit a good bid. It's better than only your company at the end of the day you still come back and score zero. Why not collaborate and partner with organization that are stronger than you. Then equipment, also identify those who have equipment and work together and all that. So back to the question I raised, the question I asked you to keep. I don't know which of them you want to go, you want to answer first. There were two questions I raised. How do you how do you protect your bid? That's one. Are you the mechanism? What kind of mechanism should be put in place for you to um or should I for the security of your bid? Let me use that word.
Okay.
Because again, people feel that, oh, what's the essence of submitting this bid when they already have who they want to give the job to? So how do we mitigate? What can we do to mitigate all of this? Can you please share with us?
Okay. Thank you very much, Isimeme. So I will start with the first one. which is said issue of trust. So in business, you try to de-emphasize trust and emphasize controls. I don't think you will succeed as a businessman if trust is the major word that you're flying with, but rather put control measures in place. If you're looking to go into partnership with any organization, why don't you have a clear cut joint venture agreement that defines the obligation and the level of partnership you guys are going into? With that JVA, I think to some extent, you've reduced the risk that are inherent in the event of any unforeseen circumstances. When it comes to the other question, where you mentioned they already have someone they want to give the job to, I must be honest with you, no responsible government would deliberately put out an advert soliciting for bids when they already have someone they intend to give the project to. Public procurement creates or has different means where they can easily request the bid directly from whoever they're interested. There's a public procurement process called direct contracting. There is another called restricted tendering. Under
Okay.
the restricted tendering, there is no need advertising these processes. You go straight to persons who have proven
Can you please
track
come
record.
again? Sorry. Can you come again?
Okay, yeah, I will. So I'm going to talk
Okay.
on procurement methods for just 2 minutes. So public procurement methods, you have open competitive bidding as a default method of procurement. The open competitive bidding has two variants: the national competitive bidding and the international competitive bidding. The international competitive bidding is used when the goods or works that the state intends to execute can be gotten from international organizations. The chances of our local contractor being able to execute those jobs are very, very slim. But for national competitive bidding, it's when you don't need international organizations to participate in that procurement at opening. So you use national competitive bidding. For this, adverts are being placed on two national dailies, the state's website or the agency's website, wherever. So it's made open to the general public. The other type of procurement method is referred to as the restricted tendering method. Other literature will call it selective tendering. Under this procurement method, you have the limited national bidding, the limited international bidding, national shopping, direct contracting, and I think that's about it. And force account, sorry. So under this restricted tendering method, the state or the procuring entity don't really have to put out an advert there. They simply reach out to organizations who have, over time, proven to be very good in this line of work that they intend to execute and ask them to submit their bids for this job. A minimum of three unrelated firms or contractors are being reached out to. So there's still some level of competition in it. This discussion is stemming from the fact that I said no responsible government would deliberately put out an advert when there is already an anointed contractor to execute that job. So when we have such mindsets, if we end up not packaging our bids right, or we end up overpricing our bids, or there are issues with our submissions, the first excuse we are quick to make is that the government has already given the contract to who they want to give it to. So what you need to do from your own point of view as a contractor is package your bids in line with the specification that were stated in the standard bidding documents. Using the standard bidding document templates, submit your bids, and you have the liberty to ask questions concerning any proceedings at any time. The public procurement legal framework provides for administrative review, both at the state and federal level. So if you participate in any bid opening process and you're not getting any feedback, you can simply write to the organization and ask you want to know the status of this project. Bearing in mind that the money that is being used for this project, it's our collective patrimony. We are all co-owners of it. The government is just helping us manage these funds. So you have equal rights to know how these funds are being expended, as well as the government. We entrust this fund to the government to manage for us. So you can ask questions. And there are ways of asking questions without inciting any form of violence. Just write a polite letter requesting for the status of this procurement process that you partook of so time and so time. And the procuring entities that it would definitely respond to you. If they don't, you can write to the public procurement agency. There is a deadline stipulated in the law. And secondly, I think SMEs should also familiarize themselves with the public procurement law governing whatever state that they intend to partake in their public procurement process. Although it's universal, but it's good to also be abreast with the provisions of the public procurement law. That would help you understand what you're getting into. And I do hope that by the end of this discussion, we'll start seeing some improvements in SMEs' participation in government contracting. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much. It's getting clearer, getting deeper.
Mm.
I'm happy you really took time to break it down for us, different methods involved in procurement. And like I said earlier, this is not just for state government. This is a universal approach. Whether you are bidding for International Organization for Migration, this is what is involved. Whether you are bidding for GIZ, this is what is involved. So we deliberately brought someone who work with government, someone who understand the regulatory, who understand the law, the process, to really explain this to us. Like I always say, it's not enough for us to complain. What are we also doing differently? People complain, oh, this is not working. Oh, we are not involved. We don't know what is going on. He said something very important earlier. He said there are some of the procurement that they advertise. So it also means that many MSMEs do not even read, they don't even know where and how to get some of this information. So we need to step up our game. We need to really level up. You know, if you are that MSME listening to me this time, identify somebody in your organization that will focus on research on newspaper, that also focus on online. That's what we do at Junior Sub. So we keep doing research. We even subscribe to so many channels. So as soon as they are advertised, we get notified via email. So there are so many business owners that work is just to advertise opportunities, but it is not free. It is not free. So you need to subscribe to some of these channels so that you can be abreast and get all the necessary information you need for your growth. We're having this webinar today. It's free. We know if we were to ask people to pay, or we're going to pay Mr. Ezekiel to do this, it will be priceless because it's giving us priceless information right now. And these are information that are very fundamental and key for our growth. So you can't run away from procurement. You really want to grow. You want to be, especially for those of you who are interested in doing business to business. Business to business is purely bidding. Even some business to customers now will tell you they want to see what you have. They want to see your profile. They want to see your personnel. They want to see if you can deliver. And this is also me advising us now. Let's learn to document our everything we do. It's talk about evidence of similar assignment done. Evidence of similar assignment done. I want letter is one of them. Then completion, I don't know what they call it again. There's a letter they usually give to us. We just got
Letter of
one recently
completion.
again. It's
Yeah.
called letter of completion report,
Certificate of
where they'll
completion.
say, he said,
Certificate of
yeah,
completion.
So where they will say whether you have done well, fantastic. Where they will say exactly. So where they will say you have done well, you have not done well. All these documents are very important. When you finish a contract, please remember to first say thank you for the job given to you. The next email should be a letter like that. A letter showing that you have completed the job. A letter showing that they are satisfied with with your deliverables. So these are very, very key for your documentation. So that when you are bidding tomorrow, it's easier for you to show all those evidences. Another secret that has also worked for us at Junior Sub is that some they ask you to submit 5 pages or 10 pages and document. You put them in form of a link. Put all of them in form of a link so that you don't limit yourself. You don't limit yourself because you don't say, oh, they have asked us to submit 5 pages and your other documentation cannot go in. Is that you call them and you before you submit your file, refer them to Alexis, or you put them in form of a link, create a link for them. When you create a link for them, refer them to the link so they can see that you actually have evidences of similar assignment done, evidences that you are qualified. Pictures don't lie, videos don't lie. Keep providing evidences, what they want, what make a good what will give you advantage over others is that you are overqualified. The CV. When we say submit CV, we get like us here now. We see all kinds of CVs that are not professionals. So we are asking you to submit your CV as a facilitator with us at Junior Sub, and we are seeing that your CV is not even organized. So obviously, without even looking at the content of the CV, that's already a major indicator that you are not qualified because you what you know, you can't be what you know. You are coming to pass knowledge. We expect best practice, we expect some level of organization and seriousness. Even for it, so this is a little thing and begin to organize ourselves so that we can become better. And when we become better in our documentation, it means are ready to bid. It's our qualified to now start bidding. So that's some of the information I say I should quickly share. So let me quickly look if we have questions. Question can start coming in. If you have questions, please share. Our professor is still in the house, is available to respond to some of these questions before we round up for today. Any question from other platform? So what will be your recommendation? Let me also, okay, fine. Somebody has asked a question. How can we package our business to be attracted? Professor, this question is for you. I love this question. Maris, I love this question. So let's give our professor the floor to respond to this.
Okay, so how can we package our business to be attracted? Okay, now let's start with this. As a business owner, try and build a brand. As simple as your font style. You can decide to say as ABC and Sons Nigeria Limited, we use area black as our font style, or Vertigo, whatever agency FB. Choose a font style and then have a uniform font size. Whatever correspondence that is leaving your firm to another firm, without being told, once it's seen, they can simply say, oh, ABC Nigeria Limited wrote this letter. So have a brand that brands your organization to say, this is our style, this is how we're going to operate. You still see some companies that want to send letters. They use your normal A4 paper for their letterhead. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with using normal A4 paper for letterhead, but there are better papers that you can use for your letterhead. Remember that packaging speaks volume to your organizational operations without being seen. Men just by men looking at your packaging, one can just simply envisage how you run your business. So, secondly, I talked about having a brand, having a dedicated font style and font size, using the right style of papers for the right correspondences, for your letterhead, for example, have the right type of paper. Then, whenever you are participating in any bid process, no bid process is the same. So most times, when you are participating or you are bidding for the supply of furniture, you are not expected to submit the same document that you submitted for the construction of two blocks of classroom. The project differs at this point in time. So you can tailor whatever submission you are making to suit that for the supply of furniture. Not that the same document you submitted for the construction of two blocks of classroom is what you are submitting for the supply of furniture. So you should be able to tell and tailor your submissions in line with what the procuring entity is seeking to procure. And then again, packaging your organization don't still require much. You should have a dedicated logo. By not saying too much, just from your logo, they should be able to say some MSMEs, if you see their logo, it's basically their company name. No, logo it's supposed to be a unique identifier to your firm. Without even your company's name, we should be able to tell that this is ABC Nigeria Limited by me seeing the logo. So you should have a logo. And what else? There are numerous things that you can do to actually package your firm right, and pay attention to details. That will really help. Don't just assume that all procurement processes are the same, even though they are both construction. They have their own unique differences. So I think I will end there. And if there are other questions, I'm open to take them.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Package your business, package your business. And most importantly, for anything about branding, is about your reputation. Make sure you also build a reputation at the end of the day. Some of us will get these contracts, but what about our integrity of service? Do we have integrity of service as our core value or core value? So we need to begin to look at some of these things. Value for money is key, but your reputation matters. And your reputation in this case can be negative or can be positive. So building a brand is something you have to be intentional about. It's an activity that you have to ensure you must carry that thing along, because you may be good. What if your team are not doing what they're supposed to do? It will affect the entire brand. So my advice is that have retreats where you discuss things that are working, things that are not working, things that you must put in place in order for you to achieve the desired result we all want. Thank you, Mr. Ezekiel. Thank you so much for this time. Thank you for creating time to share from your wealth of knowledge. So I just want to ask, are there training opportunities for MSME to build their capacity? Because again, we know you have given us, this is like testing sugar right now is huge. So I don't know. Are there training opportunities for anyone listening to us right now so they
Okay,
keep
yeah.
building their capacity?
Okay. The quest for knowledge is insatiable. But what I would say as regards building capacity as SMEs, in procurement, there are different platforms that you can actually improve your knowledge. The World Bank had developed a platform, procurementlearning.org. Under that platform, you can get certifications in procurement. You can get certifications in contract management. You can get certifications in different aspects of procurement. So by logging on to procurementlearning.org, you should be able to learn as much as you can from that website. And secondly, the World Bank had entered into an agreement with the NUC to have different training centers around across the six zones in Nigeria, political zones in Nigeria. The University of Benin was selected as one. They currently run courses on procurement. I've been privileged to have some paper presentations there. So anyone that is looking to build knowledge in procurement can attend any of these programs, either the online one. If the online learning doesn't do it for you, you can decide to participate in the physical training at University of Benin. The agency sometimes also organizes trainings for contractors, SMEs, and others. So whenever the agency is organizing trainings, we try as much as we can to reach out to those contractors that we currently have on our database. I think this is an opportunity to say that the Edo State government, through the Public Procurement Agency, maintains a database of all contractors that intend to transact with the Edo State government. So, part of the requirements to tender for bids in Edo State is evidence of registration with the Edo State Public Procurement Agency. So, this gives us some level of comfort to know that this contractor that is actually bidding for this job to some extent is in the database of the Edo State government. So that's a first step pre-qualification. Actually, it can be presumed to mean pre-qualification too. So whenever we organize training, we reach out to all those contractors on our database. I can say that majority, over 80 or 60% of contractors in our database and one way or the other be exposed to trainings that we do organize as an agency.
Okay, thank you so much. We have a question from Emanuela. I am a Nigerian, but based, sorry, I am in Nigeria, but living in South Africa. Can I bid for a contract outside of Nigeria?
Okay. This is a very interesting question. And is this so? There are follow up questions to this. However, with the advent of the e government procurement portal, regardless of your location, having the needed requirements, having met the eligibility criteria, you can participate for government contracting process anywhere in the world simply by logging on to eprocurement.edostate.gov.ng. And that is currently being used by 4 MDAs in the states: the Ministry of Education, Ministry of Health, Ministry of Roads and Bridges, and the Edo State Public Building and Maintenance Agency. We're running a pilot with these 4 MDAs, and they currently carry out all their procurement processes using the e-procurement portal. So if you intend to participate in any procurements that these 4 MDAs are currently putting out there, why not? As long as you have the needed eligibility criteria or documents, you can participate in the bidding. And
Yeah, thank you so
that
much.
I do hope that Emanuela's business is incorporated in Nigeria and she has tax clearance.
Yeah. And it's not only government jobs you can bid for.
Okay,
You
true.
know, you can actually bid for as different projects, whether from donor agency, program, uh, for you can even bid with, and you can bid for any for multinationals. You can bid as long as you are qualified. You can actually. So this question is for you. This is from Mr. Omokodion. I
Yeah.
worked in a World Bank funded project as MIE officer. While there, I discovered that the procurement process was not followed. Because at the end of procurement process, some organizations that are not qualified got the job. they are the ones they are the ones they are the ones who are close. I mean, I don't get that question very well. Okay, it's a continuation to that question. Okay. So what he's saying is that the ones that are close to the EDs are the ones that get the jobs, that the qualified ones do not get the jobs.
Okay, so
So
what's
please
the
respond.
question? What's the question then?
So I think for me, I think he's just making a very valid point. And Ezekiel earlier mentioned to us there are ways to petition a process that you are not satisfied with, because the law actually allow you, which is why when there's a time for it, there's a time frame where you are opportune to make your petition known, to say you're not satisfied with the process, you want to know how the process was done, what methodology did they use, what are the evaluation committee members, just to be sure that they're not conflict of interest. That's one thing about the World Bank standard. Is a best practice. They ensure that they even have representative from civil society or NGO to be part of evaluation committee. So, but it's good to be knowledgeable. It's good to know that you can actually petition when you are not satisfied. And this is why I said you must be informed. Get your full knowledge about procurement. Procurement is very interesting. Procurement for me, I see it as an opportunity for growth. I see it as an opportunity for your business to scale beyond you using it to attract opportunity to your organization. It also help you have a system and structure. Like Coca-Cola, I don't like calling names of brand, but I love them so much. Coca-Cola, they have a powerful system and structure that till date, the business is getting stronger and getting better. So I am using this opportunity to also advise us as MSMEs, aside us trying to get projects and programs for income generating, we also need to also be intentional by building our own system and structure in our organization. Procurement policy is key. How do you procure things in your organization? How do you hire people? Goods and services that you are in. How do you get them? Do you just pick somebody you know? Have you put what is your corporate governance saying? In fact, what is your corporate governance saying? So we need to be very, very deliberate about putting all of this policy in place. Like I said, it's not just putting them in place. So application of them is very, very key. And you can hire a consultant to help you frequently. Maybe someone can consult for you within 3 months to help you put all of this in place. You know, thank you so much, everyone. And thank you for your time. And thank you for all of our participants who are participating from various platforms, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. We want to say we are grateful. We appreciate your time with us. For Mr. Ezekiel, thank you so much for always being here. Thank you for giving us the best. You have opened the minds of a lot of MSMEs, even those who are not MSMEs, who are not doing business, their minds have also been open. So we are really, really grateful. So I also want to use this medium to thank the Genius Up team. We want to really thank all your efforts for ensuring that we have this done regularly. We'll be consistent with this. And it may look simple. There are a lot of behind the scene that we are not seeing. So I want to thank every single member of the team that has worked tirelessly for all of what we do at Genius Hub. We want to support MSMEs. We love what MSMEs are doing. We know that they contribute to the economic development of our country, of our continent. So we want to thank the team that are doing all they can to ensure we have a powerful conversation. Thank you so much. Don't forget to share. Don't forget to keep talking to us on our various platform. We want to read from you. We want to also learn from you. Let's know area where we can support you. Let's know area where you have challenges. Let's see area where we can also partner. We're open for partnership. So we want to say thank you for always keeping to time with us. We love you so, so much. And we know that your effort to build your business will not be in vain. The little you put will yield positive result at the end of the day. Thank you again, Ezekiel. Thank you. Maybe you have a last word you want to say before we leave.
Okay, I want to specially thank you for all you do.
Hello, Ezekiel. Okay,
Yeah, I want to
thank you.
specially thank you for all you do. Your passion to see that SMEs grow in such an organic manner. It's very, very key to us as concerned citizens. So we can't just but have people like you in the scheme of things pushing to assist organizations. So special thanks to you and your team, and special thanks to everyone
Thank
who have
you.
joined this call. And I do hope that some session or episode of this webinar will feature in testimonies from MSMEs who have keyed into
Amen.
what they've been
Yeah.
taught, and then we would like to see how much value we're adding in our own little ways. In all, I want to say thank you to everybody and thank you to Genius Hub for having this and having me come through. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Please follow us on our various social media platform, on TikTok, on YouTube. Please follow us. Follow us, and we also will follow you back, because we are about, what we do here is about partnership, it is about self-development, it's about visibility for one another. Please enjoy your weekend. Don't forget to give yourself a treat this weekend. Self-care is key. Remember to go for massage, remember to go for little exercise, play, laugh, enjoy, spend good quality time with your loved ones, and have a lovely weekend. Bye-bye. See you at the top again.
Thank you too.
Thank you.